Well, it's Saturday morning and it's early and it's kind of cold, but it's really nice out. The light's good. You can kind of see the leaves are on the ground. So it's kind of nice to be outside today. I'm gonna get going on the deck again. I got my posts behind me all installed. I got to do some trimming and cutting, and that's what we're gonna work on today. We'll start here in the front. What I've done with my laser is I've put a mark here on the front of each post that indicates the bottom of the 2x10 that I'm going to lead into the side of these posts. I got to cut them to length first. They're really too tall. I just grabbed the pieces I had and stuck them in here. The string is just helping me set my distance from the house, and things aren't exactly perfect because of the piers. I can only shift the post bases so much. Like this one is shifted all the way to the left, that one shifted all the way to the right. Any last adjustments that I need to get the carry beam perfectly straight and parallel, I'll make that adjustment in my cheek cut on the post. I just make it deeper or shallower as necessary. I'll snap a string line along the top of them to do that. I've got all the posts marked, the cheek cuts. So I string line across the top, and I use the level to get a plumb line down to the lower line, which I made with the laser. So I'll cut those cheeks out on those 5 posts, and then we can start putting horizontal beams in. All right, now that you see how I did it, I'm gonna go do it 5 more times or 4 more times, however many more times until I'm done. Okay, there's our first horizontal beamage. Pretty cool. The width of the lumber varies. This is pretty typical. So I've got a couple here that are at like 9 3/8 and a couple that are 9 5/8. You can see the gap there. So what I'm gonna do is once all the beams are up, I'll run around with the power planer and knock them down to the same height. That'll give me a good level flat surface. And then the joists will come off of the sill plate on the house there and sit directly on top of this beam. It'll look nice. Okay, we got the horizontal beams up. The next step is to connect these 2 beams with a 45-degree angle set, and that's going to clip off the corner, and then the hot tub will sit to the right of that on this lower platform, which isn't framed out yet completely. So I haven't really decided how I'm gonna do this. I got to this point. Now I'm gonna go get my lumber, set it up there, just kind of get my angles figured out, and then probably run to the hardware store and get some joint plates or something to make it real sturdy. So a bit of a good news, bad news. I got the angles figured out. What I did is I measured from the corner of the house out 59 inches, and I made a mark on each of the horizontal beams because they're the same distance out from the sill plate. And then I measured over a common distance, which turned out to be 14 3/4 inches, to locate the intersection of each end of the beam. So now I know that that's symmetrical to the corner of the house. It's basically rotated back 45 degrees off of the horizontal beams. So the good news, bad news. The good news is on this end, I can sit it down there'll be two. There's one here, this is the outer, and then the inner here. So I can set it down onto this post and actually carry it a little bit there. I'll still use a joint plate or something. So that's the good news. The bad news is I got to take that horizontal beam off because there's a bunch of screws in there and I won't have much fun carving out that post with the screws. This end, I'm just gonna screw it onto the end of that beam. So I'll cut this and I'll screw it on, and then I'll get a joint plate to make it good and sturdy, put some couple of structural screws in it. And then there'll be a, I don't know what you call it, but it's kind of like a joist, I guess, from here out to the corner. And then my floor joists will come off of that each direction as I come around the corner of the house. Okay, I know what it's gonna look like now. Just have to go do it. Okay, that wasn't so bad. I got the ankle board fitted in there. Fit in there? I don't know. I'm gonna cut this off flush, and I'll do the same on the other end, and then I'll tidy it up with the belt sander probably, and then it'll be ready for planing on the top to just get it nice and level. And then I can start thinking about joist hangers and getting some joists up. So I got all the joist hangers on, everything is good. Now we're off to the hardware store to get a few things. And I'll wander around the screws and the Simpson aisle and pick out a bunch of good stuff. I need to attach these corners a little bit better. They're just sort of held together with screws. I'm gonna put some metal in there. So back from the hardware store, got these great screws. Look at these things, those are killer. I'm using those to screw the ledger board to the house because I only had it nailed on, probably just to get it up there so I could get the siding done. So I put those big screws in there. That'll hold it nice. And I got my metal back here done. You can see that, that's good. Now I'm working on the joist that comes off of this corner. This is comes out at a 45-degree angle. So I've done that. Kind of bird mount it there with the circular saw and a hand saw, and I'm going to get that mounted up and in the right location, and then I'm going to come back and start popping in joists, and I'll see how far I can get today. So that's where we've ended up with the joists. I'm actually out of 2x6s. There's a bit of a lumber shortage, so they gave me what they could and I used what I had, and that's where I got. So now I'm going to figure out some plans for this lower section. Hopefully you can kind of see how this is coming together now. You'll have that 6-foot wide deck, and then it'll be 5 feet off the corner as we kind of clip that corner off, and then we'll drop down about 22 inches, give or take, and then I'll have the floor joists. That's one of them, my 16-foot 2x10s. I did get all those, so those will set across those carry beams, and we'll have cantilevered deck on either side of the hot tub. It's really just so you can get the cover on and off. Not super, I mean, I don't expect a lot of people to be hanging out there, but those 2x10s will be plenty strong. So it's probably about as much as I can get done today. I got a lot of tools out, so I'll probably start picking up now. All my tools have to get picked up. Okay, we'll pick it up tomorrow.